Welcome back to Around the Table with Stacy Smith as we continue to analyze the Republican debate that happened the other night. Jim, there were a couple of areas where the candidates disagreed on some issues and how those issues should be approached. One of the topics discussed, of the topics that were discussed, which one will the Democrats now be capitalizing on if they can, and which one might make the Democrats vulnerable?
The issue I think would be in this order. Would be the Dobbs decision, which overturned Roe v. Wade, the issues with respect to the insurrection, and issues with respect to the Russian invasion. And they are both the strength and the weakness at the same time. And I look back to, I agree with the governor on Nikki Haley and her performance last night. I think she was leaps and bounds ahead of the field in her statesmanship and her lack of fear. Her courage to speak out against Mr. Trump and his MAGA subordinates. The first point being Dobbs. She was pragmatic. I mentioned this earlier. She was pragmatic on the reality that it is just not it is not feasible or plausible to think that there could be some type of a federal ban on abortion. The MAGAs love to hear that, and folks who are placating to that wing may say that, but she stood up and said that is not going to happen. And she spoke in a pragmatic fashion about that issue, not in betrayal of her beliefs, but in an approach that she thinks on the conservative side of the issue is consistent and realistic. When you talk about the insurrection, she had no hesitation in praising Vice President Pence for the fortitude that he showed on January 6th and not placating the president or enabling that situation to become catastrophic. And thirdly, Russia. She did not hesitate. You heard boos in the audience when Putin's name was mentioned, but she stood up and she blasted Ramaswamy for his naivety on the issue and referred to the president, who she used to work for as an ambassador, as the most disliked politician in America. So that's that the issue of Dobbs concerns me if she becomes a candidate, because we can't really use that against her as effectively as most of the other candidates, and her pragmatism would make her formidable if she became the nominee.
Interesting.
I would say her pragmatism is her leading virtue in this race, if people will take the time to listen to it. Unfortunately, I don't think the general populace takes the time to listen to it. They take sound bites. Her explanation took about a minute or two. They hear 10, 15 seconds and they move on. But I think that's her leading quality in this.
Yeah, Jim's right about Dobbs, but I don't think she can escape the giant wave that's continuing to roll across the nation regarding Dobbs. So she can try to distinguish herself. She can try to stick her head up out of that and say, look, I'm more practical here. Let's a little easy on this, but I don't think she can do it.
I'm surprised that crime wasn't talked about a little more last night. I still think it's an issue for average Americans, but that's more the tenor of the questions being asked by the moderators. But there were certainly themes last night. I think there was unanimity that a Republican theme for 2024 is going to be the porous southern border, and the fact that the cartels are in charge largely in Mexico, even all the way up to the government bureaucracy, and there are more provinces in control of by the cartels than the government, and that should be a concern for Americans. They gave that stark statistic that under the Biden administration, homelessness in America is up 11%, the highest number in any time recorded in American history, 40-year high for inflation. And then pretty much concerns across the board with the provocativeness of China and what they're doing, sending things through Mexico, what they're doing economically, what they're doing to pollute the planet, why they're a real threat to us, even maybe more so than Russia. So I really did see some themes developing among those 8 people. Mr. Ramaswamy did not always agree with them, but the others seemed to tell me that those are the type of issues we're going to hear time and time again between now and next November.
All right, we only have a minute left, so each one of you is going to get about 10 seconds here. I'm going to ask this question. The next debate's only about a month away for the Republicans. If you were advising Donald Trump, would you advise him to attend that debate or do what he did this last time and not attend? Keith, you're on camera.
Stay away. There's no reason for him to attend a debate. You know, as far as he is in the lead, he has nothing to gain.
All right, Governor.
I agree with him. He has nothing to gain. I can't imagine what he was doing sitting back if he even watched it last night. But I don't think he has any interest in getting in there. He's getting enough PR, not good PR, but PR in what's going on with the cases in Georgia and other locations.
All right, Jim.
I agree. Stay as far away from all this as you can. Keep doing the things that you do, because unfortunately and tragically, it has you double digits ahead of the rest of the field.
All right, Keith.
He's going to read the tea leaves in the polls. If the polls tell him he's still 20, 30, 40 points out, you're never going to see Mr. Trump debating his fellow Republicans.
All right, gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for joining us once again for Around the Table with Stacy Smith. And I hope that you join us also for the next edition of Around the Table with Stacy Smith. Thank you.
Thanks, Stacy.